Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. We've got the third Bourne movie for you, The Bourne Ultimatum. Bourne Ultimatum. Bourne Ultimatum. Come on, Eric, join in.
Now I'm just thinking about Born Ultimatum. We're gonna talk about some Jason Bourne.
What is that
Born
one?
Ultimatum. It's time
What
for
is
some
that one?
Jason Bourne. Colors of the
What is that one?
Born again.
Doing more of
Born
it is not going to
again.
get me.
It's
Doing
some
more of it
born
is making it
time.
worse. It's actually making me
Born
forget music.
apart. Born again. Born again.
We are the Mattitude, Eric. I am Matt
Born
Feller.
apart.
Say hello, Eric. Can't stop singing Goldman.
Born apart. Hello. Hello.
Remember when Robert Klein couldn't stop his leg?
Robert Klein
Okay,
couldn't.
piece it together.
No,
Robert Klein.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Robert Klein used to close his comedy shows and specials and televised specials with a musical number called I Can't Stop My Leg.
I have never heard this information before in my life. You've gone beyond my threshold of knowledge.
This is the fucking final frontier of Eric's pop culture.
Yeah, there's a
Like
barrier.
this is like when they go to meet God in Star Trek 5.
Yes. You gone too far this time. I'm
You
sorry.
know what? Cybok, I can't remember the actor's name, reminds me of Robert Klein. He's a little Robert Kleiny.
I
Wouldn't
see
you
that.
agree, Eric? Yeah, you see
And
that?
that's what we call a sidebox sidebar.
And that's what we call uh, the Klein files. Hey, we're doing the Bourne Ultimatum. We are at the final frontier of Matt's Bourne movie viewing. I have not seen beyond this point. So
I
the Bourne
know.
Legacy, and then whatever they call the fifth one, which is probably
It's
just
so
Jason Bourne.
interesting to me that you just didn't see things. I don't know.
Eric, there's movies right now that I want to see that I haven't seen because I don't have the time window to do so. I
Guess
have still
so.
haven't seen Obsession. I haven't seen The Sheep Detectives. There's movie. I haven't seen Mortal Kombat 2. I haven't seen. There's life gets in the way. You know how in Jurassic Park they're like life finds a way. Well,
Yeah.
life gets in the way. Should it? That should be the quote. Um, but yeah, that being said, I still only had small memories of what this movie was. And I was mostly right revisiting it, which is like, I know it goes back to like more memories of him with the doctor and the interrogation stuff and the training and the New York chase or the New York car demolition derby, I should say. Those are what I remember. I did not remember they made Nikki into like this like former flame. So we could start there, which I don't know how long this conversation will be compared to the other two movies because there's less to talk about. There's the same director's back, the same team's back. It seemed to go rather smoothly, even though it's an extra year in between movies now. The movie made 100 million more than the second movie, which made 100 million more than the first movie. So this whole Bourne thing's on an uphill climb. But what I'd like to talk about first is how this movie, in a very deep trilogy sense, recontextualizes things, which is like
Mhm.
it goes back to the beginning, which is, what Randy's rules of trilogies do for horror movies. Shows you things that were always true that you never knew to be true, including the whole Nikki thing, which is like she went from a supporting character who was going to die, to a character who was popular enough to come back because of who Julia Stiles was in the second movie, to now being in an even bigger role in the third, to the point where she was like almost a Marie surrogate at a
Mhm.
point. And that it all works. Like it still all works. Like there's nothing done here that contradicts anything or rubs anything the wrong way from the other movies. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Bourne still has none of his memories and is still remembering things. So there's still more to explore. Eric, what do you think of the Bourne Ultimatum?
Oh, I think it's great. And I think, the thing about this is, and I remember, a talking point at the time is this is the rare part three to deliver. Like, part three is notoriously hard to pull off. And I feel like this opened a couple years before Toy Story 3, but how we got two trilogies fairly close together that managed to be like satisfying conclusions in a way that is very rare. Now, both cases, there's been two more movies after, and that's always the thing of like pushing your luck when you have a satisfying trilogy because that's hard enough to do that we're going to
Did
keep.
did Armand White also not like the Bourne Ultimatum?
I can't speak to Armand White's feelings on the Bowlhorn of, but no, I think this is great. And it does a really good job of, yeah, like, I mean, obviously it does the thing of a lot of callbacks, subtle and overt. Even the final scenes, I'm like, of course, it ends with him in the water, just like it began. But even like Landy speaking, kind of like how Abbott ends the first movie speaking about Blackbriar. Now she's speaking about taking Blackbriar down. Um, and so there's a nice circular thing to it.
Him even saying the line that Clive Owen said to him in the first
Oh,
movie,
yeah,
right?
that's great. So I think he does a really good job of it and keeping it, secure because like you said, it's like he until the very end, he doesn't remember a lot of things about himself. So it kind of keeps it compact in that way. I mean, this movie, on one hand, it has to struggle a little bit because Abbott died in the last one and he was seen as the big boss. Now they have to be like, well, there's other big bosses, you know.
So let me tell you about, and again, the Matt's favorite parts of these movies are the people in the chairs tracking him, and this one at least gets memed because we get the David Strathairn saying Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
Yeah, but it's still not the version that gets memed. That's the funny thing. It's the first and that'll be said again. We obviously haven't gotten to the guy who gets memed saying it, but here it is, and it's lowered key form.
Is the one that's meme from the fifth movie?
Yeah. It's that black guy in the fifth movie saying it that gets the meme the most.
I get the one with David Strathairn.
Oh, really? When I Google
absolutely.
Jesus Christ,
I do not get an alternate. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's crazy.
You're on the flip side of pop culture, so I don't know you
Actually,
don't know about Robert Klein's leg.
If you Google image Jesus Christ as Jason Bourne, I literally get both. It's like it's very funny because I see both back to back of the different because the guy in the fifth one says it more dramatically. He says it, Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne in like a little more intensity than Strathairn says. So Strathairn is like, we're going to introduce this line, and then we'll talk about it again in the fifth movie. But they're like, okay, this is our big line. We got to go bigger with it.
Faster, more intense.
Right.
So yeah, this movie works. But what I'll say about the people in the chairs is they basically run Bourne supremacy again, which is that Pam Landy is on the side of Jason Bourne. Doesn't want him killed.
Yes.
Teamed up with someone who does want him killed suspiciously because they're hiding shit. What they're hiding is different. Abbott was hiding stuff from the past. Strathairn's hiding stuff from now, basically Blackbriar and this one was the most of the three movies, and this came out in 2007, that was the most post 9/11 because Strathairn's division like activated with total like authority, like we can kill anyone at any time, and no, we have no checks and balances or anything like that. Because she's like, you don't have the authority to kill these people when they're gonna kill like Nikki, right? He's like, oh yes, we do. Like this is just like we have a blank check to do whatever the fuck we want, which still gets them in trouble ultimately, at the end with all the news reports and the Senate hearings, whatnot. But they basically run the pattern from the last movie.
They absolutely do. Although obviously now we've got Pam. She's actively on Bourne's side from the start this time. And so it's like, now it's like when they're like, we brought her in to be our patsy because if everything goes down, she'll take the fall. Well, now it's like she's already actively kind of working behind their backs in this time.
Isn't it interesting that they even brought in, because he's in two scenes, maybe Scott Glenn to be the bigger boss, which is to say like Strathairn could have just worked on his own.
Right, which is funny because that's what we said about the first one. Like you didn't necessarily need Brian Cox in the first one.
So it would be, so the pattern would be Scott Glenn escapes this movie,
but he doesn't. Yeah.
He doesn't. He goes down too. So
yeah, that is funny. Maybe in some script iterations, because this one did have a lot of rewrites, different writers. So maybe there was a version where Scott Glenn's character did get away with it for like more sequel bait, and then they were like more trying to make it a trilogy that wrapped up here at the end. With Nikki, it is funny because it does make me slightly roll my eyes, only because if you look back at the first movie, when she first we see her get the message, this is who we're looking for. nothing in the way that scene is played is like her having a recognition of this is
I
someone
mean, if
important to
it
her.
look, if the scene just cut away 10 seconds later, like than it
Right.
does,
Yeah.
you'd see her turn around and a single tear would be coming down her
Right.
face. It's like we just miss her emotes, you
Or
know, like
bite the end back of her hand. Be like,
oh, what Jack
oh!
Tripper style,
Yeah.
like
Hubbada, hubbada, hubbada.
bites his palm.
That's David. Yeah, so it's a little funny, but I actually like that the movie itself underplays it, which is to say, she doesn't get a big speech about what we were to each other. She just brings up there is a
And you
history.
know, I think the reason why it works for me, even though nothing about it was set up, is
Yeah,
that we also understand that she has been she is a fucking CIA agent abroad and is like she's compartmentalizes her emotions all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
and she
right,
cleans up dead body scenes. She, you know,
right.
she knows the dirty work that happens. And so she's gonna be pretty stoic and reserved. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's not a it doesn't break the franchise to me. It's just a little it's an obvious retcon that I can let go because also yes, it is very satisfying. I think the movie has earned it's 3 movies in, and it's now Julia Stiles is actually like on an adventure with Bourne for part of the
And
movie.
is being actively protected and is in a very extended, like
Yeah,
suspenseful sequence. There's a lot of elements of this. There's a lot of prolonged sequences I like in this movie and elements. The end part though, when you hear nobody's been found and that fucking Moby
hmm
string kicks in and goes ring, and then she smiles. I laughed my ass off. Like what a fucking cue for that song at the end of the movie. Like I would imagine people in the audience were like, like it's a laughable moment, but not
uh,
in a bad way. Not in
no,
a
people
bad way.
people cheered. I remember
Yeah, that's what I
that
mean.
when
Like
he
it,
started swimming, people cheered. And we get the first of so going forward 3 through 5. Moby does a new version of the song each time. The second one they just they use the same song, but for 3 through 5 they actually have him do a new version. So now we're getting into the specific. I think
he's
it's called
got to get the Moby bucks, space bucks. What the other part I really like in this, besides like the whole Tangiers part, where the cops are following Bourne, Bourne's following Dash, Dash is following his target. You know what I mean? Following
Mhm.
Nikki and like that whole extended sequence with the rooftop chase and stuff is going back to because I'm also like, when does he call Pam? Because the last movie ended with him calling Pam from
Yes,
the rooftop,
yes,
which was a changed ending, which now they really worked. They they spun that scene to make it more than it was, which is like
yes.
he is talking to her and spying on her at the same time eyeing Vosen, I think his name, the character's name that David Strathairn plays, his office next door. And the whole thing is a plot to get them out of the building so he can sneak in there. And it's great, like the way that they rework that.
That was really cool. I remember being really excited by that because yes, it when the movie begins and it begins in Moscow with him on the run, it's like, oh wait, okay, so we're not gonna pick up right where we left off. But you might think it might be a brief sequence, but no, we go deep into the movie to the point that you might forget. I mean, on initial viewing, I kind of remember you did kind of put in the back of your head, we haven't seen that scene. So when the scene begins, it's very exciting to be like, oh, we've caught up. But yes, this extra thing that yeah, Vosen is tapping in, but also like Pam's assistant walks in, who's helping her. He walks into the room, which we didn't see. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
with her and stuff. That this is all much bigger thing. It turns out she's giving him a code. Yeah, it was very fun how they kind of reverse engineered this, and have this movie be most of it taking place in that little gap. It reminded me a little bit of how Black Widow the movie now takes place in the ending of Civil War because we realize at the end of Black Widow, she's going to go help Steve break everyone out of the raft. We just didn't see her. So it's like she's like probably up in the ship when Steve walks up at the end of Civil War. So it's like Black Widow's happening in that gap while like Tony and Rhodey are talking about Rhodey's
Right.
and not
Like a
be
month
able.
or however long
Yeah.
they're in the raft for or whatever.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, it's everything, you know, even again, things written on the fly and a lot of authors, you know, chiming in and things being reworked, you know, even during production still can give you a damn good movie. Especially when, you know, I guess you could say like the Mission Impossible movies, you have the ideas for the action beats already, like what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it. And the ones in this movie are tremendous. Like, and again, there are elements of these action scenes souped up versions of previous ones. apartment fights that end in strangulation, and where Jason, what's he gonna grab this time? A book, right? Like the first time it was a pen, and now it's a magazine.
He's
Now it's a
really
book.
really pushing literacy if you
Yeah,
think through his
he's like
violence.
reading is fundamental. He punches the guy in the face. Uh, Much like wrestling, where it's like, why does something hurt more if it's on a table rather than the ground? You know,
Mhm.
there's elements of wrestling where it's like the visual value doesn't equal like the actual thing hurting more. Like if I put a book up to your face, Eric, and I punch the book into your like, I feel like my punch would hurt more than me punching a book into your face. But it looks damn cool, so like I forgive Bourne and myself.
Yes, yes.
But like, so there's like hand to hand stuff with like an assassin. There's a sniper moment with another assassin, and there's a car chase moment with the sniper assassin. You know, there's they up the demolition derby aspect of the New York chase stuff. They up the fight that he has with, and that actor, not the Edgar Ramirez actor, but the other assassin, is just a stuntman. So he's not like star of the future, you know,
No,
guy.
but he's a little more, which you can tell because it's the most like martial art. Like he does some cool little Darth Maul spins
He does like Brazilian jiu-jitsu
that
and
are a
stuff. Yeah.
little bigger than the other guys, but it doesn't break. I don't think the artifice of the Bourne movie fights. It's just he's a little fancier, but it's still a very intense
But
Bourne
it's
type
also, I
fight.
think, the most time we've spent with aside from I guess Carol in the second movie, like he gets a really long sequence in Tangiers, like because he's got to assassinate the mole first of all, the guy who's squealing with the bomb, and then he's ordered to kill Nikki, and then Jason's got to follow him after getting rocked by that explosion. Like it's a pretty long, like 15-minute sequence that really works. So he gets a lot of screen time.
Absolutely, yeah, and all that stuff is really exciting. I mean, like the all the rooftop chase, and it's multi-pronged because people are after Bourne, but he's out. The Desh is out there too. Nikki's on the run. And it's all very exciting. And then there's that shot gets used a lot in any montage of the Bourne movies. It's a great shot of the camera following Jason as he leaps through to save Nikki and
Mhm.
like smashes through the glass. It's a really cool shot going through. Although I do want to mention that the shaky cam of it all and how it is funny. It's early on, but there are a couple of sequences. A big one to me is when Daniel Bruhl has his one scene as Marie's brother.
Which is
Um,
weird because it was her half brother in the first movie,
it was her
so it's not a recast.
stepbrother. It was her stepbrother in the
Stepbrother,
first.
so it's not a recast, which
Yeah,
is weird because they could have just brought back the same actor,
they could
right?
have. Maybe
Like
he wasn't available, but we can speculate on Marie's parents and the remarriages and the stepbrother.
this is the part of the lore that bogs the whole saga down for
Yes.
me.
Hey, it's funny I mentioned Civil War, and here's Zemo
Yeah,
himself.
Zemo. Yeah,
But there is in that scene, and it's not the only scene, but it's one of the most notable over the top shaky cam, which is to say the shots of just Jason and Marie's brother are so jittery. And it's funny because I understand, I think most people who like movies understand handheld and it's naturalistic and it's not smooth and it can feel real and there might be a little bump if the cameraman jostles. But this is like it's like he's like shaking so shaky. It's like
this is like who's the DP? Like fucking a ferret on a double
is
espresso.
he
Like
having a
it's
seizure? Like what's happening? Like this is a little this is aggressively handheld is what was
yeah.
funny about a couple of scenes in the movie that do that. And that is especially because it's not an action scene. So it just feels like
That
what's
being said,
happening?
I actually believe overall
Mhm.
the shaky cam has reined in more on this movie a little bit with the action stuff. Like I don't know, I just there was parts in that last movie, maybe because a lot of it took place more at night than this movie, where it was like I don't know what the fuck's going on, you know.
Right.
Um, but this movie I felt it was a little more clear. This is just Matt's opinion.
I think I see the other part I put it in my notes is when he buys the burner phone is also like what the fuck's happening? Like why is the cameraman
Well, the
just
phone is actually burning. It's like ah.
right? We have to show that off camera. Uh
So we can get into an argument can be made, a very very weak argument, I'll admit, that these three movies were a three-movie remake of Total Recall, which is to say, like the Total Recall twist at the end, which was like, no, you were really a bad person. Like previous you was terrible, and you volunteered for this. Now, the way we get there with the new memories, the flashes of the new stuff he's remembering, is that we're led to believe, and he is led to believe himself, just based on his imagery, is he resisted and they took him anyway. He's like, no, I can't. But they were like, fuck you, you're going into this program. And they put a hood over his head. I don't know what if he made the no, I can't up, or if they explained it at the end that he was saying that about something else. Right. Like, I don't
Right.
know if he was rejected. He's like, you got to eat spinach again. He's like, no, I can't. I don't know what he was remembering, or if his was just misremembering something completely. So I wish they had tied that together a little more. Why that scene didn't come back at the end in a new way, unless it was so quick I missed it. Like why we didn't hear him say those words again with the new revelation that he volunteered and went through with the I don't know if this is actual real world stuff. You know, we make fun of John Wick all the time, which is like the underground network of assassins, of global assassins, which is like if you are a secretly trained black ops assassin, like in the fucking Red Room or something, your final exam is always killing an innocent person.
Well,
like,
killing a person you don't know the deal of. Yeah, it's just
right.
like it's just
Well, killing a person, like I don't know if he was friends with the dude that he shot, but like Yelena had to kill her friend. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you or you have to kill a dog, or what is it? What was the movie where they make you raise a dog and then kill it? Like they give everyone a dog.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
God damn it. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what it is. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. God damn it. What is it? Is it Red Sparrow? Is it? There's so many movies it could be.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, is this? I'm hoping it's actually just a movie conceit, and no one's actually out there doing this.
I mean, this is a little more. It's cleaner in that it's basically saying your life is going to be killing who we say without asking questions. So here's the first time you're supposed to do that. It's just you got to assume there's a reason we want this person dead that's worth it. It's to help your country, and you're not going to ask us why. Just do it. You know, it's not as egregious as kill this little girl you've been friends with or the dog you were racing. It's just like this is the cold-hearted person you have to be now going forward.
Someone write in and tell us what that movie is. I don't want to Google killing dogs. So
please don't. I do want to go a little bit into this movie did. There's not drama. I think I remember mentioned this on the Bourne Identity. I said that there was a little bit of battling eventually with Gilroy versus like Greengrass and Damon over kind of who controls the identity, no pun intended, of this series. And I think it came up around this movie so what I found a profile with Tony Gilroy from 2009 in New Yorker that was like a lot of stuff comes from this so Gilroy only wrote the first draft of this movie. And 4 other writers worked on it. 2 of them are credited. Again, that's how it often works. People come in and go. Frank Marshall does say this is still his story, which he has a story by credit. Like it is the story Gilroy gave them. So they didn't like change it egregiously from like the core of it. But I think probably a lot of the specifics are different. But it is funny to read this profile. And look, it's just, this is how it goes with Tony Gilroy, extremely talented person, made a fucking amazing Star Wars series that a lot of people think is one of the best things Star Wars has ever created, if not the best. And guess what? He's really full of himself. And it's funny, this profile is a very funny thing because they talk about how when they were making the first movie, he had a lot of fights with Doug Liman because Doug Liman likes to reshoot and change and tweak, and that he's basically like, you're fucking up my script. And Doug Liman tells a funny story about like basically being told by Gilroy, I gave this script to William Goldman. He told me it was perfect, and you shouldn't be like changing a single thing about it.
Did anyone say William Goldman also wrote the Tim Daly romantic adventure Year of the Comet that also starred Penelope Ann Miller that was terrible?
No, that didn't come up. And that it seems like Supremacy, like we said, like there wasn't a lot of drama around Supremacy, but there must have been something because basically they said when they asked him to write the third movie, his condition was he would not speak to Paul Greengrass. He would just like write it in isolation, which he did. But then when he turned it over, then they just rewrote it a bunch without him anyway. So
Eric, this I did Google. I did Google this. I didn't Google Dog Assassins, but I did Google Year of the Comet, which I remembered correctly. The cast, it was 1992, directed by Peter Yates, by the way, written by William Goldman. 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. But maybe Billy Goldman's like, that's because the director kept reshooting my great
Yeah,
shits.
that's because Peter Yates fucking Yatesed all over it. Yeah.
Yeah, he livened me.
Yeah. I don't
Anyway,
even know who Doug Liman is in 1992, but he sure did that. Yeah.
anyway, it's this will not be the end of Gilroy. Gilroy is going to write and direct the next movie, which of course is probably what he wanted to do the whole time because the director can't change his stuff. But it is funny to sort of see that there was like, yeah, that, and it was also a whole funny thing about how he really wanted. He like his whole thing coming out of the first movie is like, well, people love Jason Bourne, but they shouldn't because he was a killer. He just coldly killed people. So, by the way, like we both loved the end of the second movie, which is the big scene with the daughter, and
Yeah.
that to him was like the crux of it. Like he basically said, I wanted to earn the affection the audience already had for Jason Bourne by having that scene. But it's funny because then he was really mad because he talked about the New York Times review of the movie that just talked about, oh, the action's so kinetic, this amazing car scene, and they didn't talk about that scene, and it really pissed him off. He said it was sort of like a crime against the gods of storytelling, is his quote, that they weren't singling out that scene. So
This guy is a lot. Like he's like criticizing criticism or like,
yeah.
reviews of the movie that don't actively call out his brilliance,
But it reminds me, I mean, again, if you take away everything else from recent years, this was always what Whedon was like, who is like one of my favorite screenwriters and made one of my favorite shows, but is obviously very pretentious, very full of himself. And it is funny when like these very talented guys are also like, my shit never stings. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it is funny. Again, it can be amusing because they are talented. It's like Cameron. He's so full of himself, but we're also like, he backs it up. So we put up with it,
Yeah, but also he's like living a fucking basically, what do you call it when you've got like zero fucking carbon footprint on the world? Like he's living a
right.
self-sustainable farm vegan lifestyle in New Zealand, like he's not hurting. He's hurting nobody, like
Yes. But
um
Cruz didn't love him back in the day.
what did they work on together?
No, I'm saying Cruz, just James Cameron in general. He, obviously he was not a popular guy with his Cruise.
Oh,
Back.
Cruise. I was like,
Oh,
Tom Cruise?
oh,
I
that's
was like,
funny.
they didn't work together.
That's
Like,
funny. Anyway, we had a big tangent there.
yeah.
But
No,
whoever,
I mean, like, look, this is going to be a shorter chat because, like, this movie is pretty solid. There's only a few things to sort of talk about. Adding that Tony Gilroy arrogance was great. That's out about 5 minutes. There is also, so we should talk about Albert Finney, the doctor in the room here, which is he was brought in as like the memory boogeyman who's still alive. Again, I can't remember how long this has been going on. Ultimately, I get that he's like remorseful. Bourne is remorseful for the people he killed. I think he killed 5 people, Eric. I think it was like he wasn't sent on that many missions, and I don't think all of them were just like Doctors Without Borders or somebody who didn't deserve to die. But he sure is probably remorseful for the guy he killed in the corner. That's me in the corner.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, we learned that David Webb, Daniel Webb, David Webb, volunteered to be part of this, given a new name, went through with it, murdered an innocent person as far as we know. And Albert Finney is there as like, he's the guy, he's like, the end game boss who like I'm gonna talk to him and get inside his head and stall, that the sort of the trope behind that, and
Yeah,
perfect for like the old arrogant asshole doctor being there at the end of all things, who I guess also gets to see. Did the news reports say that he gets arrested too or something? I don't know.
I think so. I'm not 100%, but I think so. Obviously, again, like these movies have an embarrassment of riches with these great character actors who come in to the point that like Scott Glenn, yeah, I forgot he was in this movie too.
Yeah, he was almost in this. I mean, David Strathairn is great enough that like we love him. Actually, my parents knew him.
Oh,
It's one of those from Williams College and the acting scene back in the 60s and stuff like that. Yeah, he's great. He popped into my life. It's not like my parents ever regaled me with David Strathairn stories, but like, remember the River Wild when he got like third billing? And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like after Meryl Streep and Kevin Bacon, and he's like the third of that movie, and it was just like, hey, good for them. Just this is back when like you remember trailers so well that you remember the trailer voice guy saying the name of the cast, right? And it's like, that's why I know who Natasha fucking Gregson Wagner is, because that guy
Right.
said her name in a trailer at some point, you know?
Hmm.
And they were like, and David Strathairn. I'm like, who? Very much like the Star Lord. Who? Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. That would happen a lot though. That's like how we'd be introduced to an actor is by like their name getting said in a trailer. Um, and I really like how this movie. So this movie takes Blackbriar is named at the end of the first movie, not mentioned in the second movie.
Right, right.
But then they bring it back in a big way here. Has like the new iteration of Treadstone. And I think that's really fun. And I will talk. I want to talk more about Simon the reporter. I one thing I thought was funny with Blackbriar is, look, they bring it back from the first movie because some people might not remember that was, the Abbott at the end of the movie was launching that. And they say this, oh, this is the new version of Treadstone. They directly say it. I just think it's very funny when stuff like this happens in movies. And this is not in no version of the script, I'm sure, was this in. This was someone on the movie who is worried that the audience will forget, like we talk about these days with Netflix movies and they say things over and over again. I did think it was funny when Jason breaks into Noah, into Strathane's files, and it literally says like Treadstone upgrade : Blackbriar. Like it just has to it has to remind people like this is what it is. Like don't
A
forget.
reminder, no, please, no one say Treadstone. Never refer to it as Treadstone. It is
Right?
now Blackbriar.
We
And
are
it's like
rebranding.
triple underlined. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned already that this took place like right as Supremacy ends, this movie starts, and it's him still being injured. He takes down a few Russian cops, spares their life. Good guy, Jason Bourne, right? But then the floodgates open because of this reporter played by Patty Casadine or Casadine. I
I
can't
don't know if
remember.
I don't know how to say that. Yeah.
But Hot Fuzz, House of the Dragon, you've seen him before, and he's
And
here.
I think his big breakout for many was In America, which we just mentioned on the Minority Report episode because that's the movie that got Samantha Morton an Oscar nomination since they were kind of the couple at the center of that movie.
What was the movie? Oh, In America. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
So basically, he is a buffoon who gets himself killed, but it's a great sequence in this London train station. It works really well
Really good.
because there is action. There is moments where Bourne beats the shit out of a few people, but mostly it's like the slipping the phone into the guy's pocket, they tell him to
Hmm.
tie his shoe, they tell him to like walk to the left 5 paces, go up the stair. The timing that Bourne has in his head of like how to get around these operatives who are following them, while he takes out a few of them on the side, staying at his sight while they're focused on the reporter. But then 2 times, and it was done really well because there's 2 times he doesn't listen to Bourne. The first, he thinks the trash guy is an assassin, and Bourne's like he's not, and he doesn't believe him, and he runs
Right.
and he gives away his position. And that was enough to make us believe that he was going to ignore him a second time when he's like, "Don't run," and he's like, "I can make it." Blam, he's dead.
Hmm.
And this time by Edgar Ramirez and I wouldn't call like Edgar Ramirez a star of the future in the same way that the last 2 movies maybe had. Like he's a working actor who appears in things. He was in the terrible Borderlands movie. But I don't think this is probably the only Edgar Ramirez movie I've ever liked.
The what?
This is probably the only Edgar Ramirez movies I've ever liked. I can't
Oh,
think of an Edgar Ramirez movie.
I thought the Jungle Cruise movie was fine.
That was fine, but he was the weakest. But he was the weakest part
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Yes. And he was in the acclaimed question mark Amelia Perez.
Yeah, yeah. A strange place in history, Amelia Perez. But yeah, I love this sequence. This like you said, it's just a really cool sequence as far as Bourne just being smart and talking through a guy who's never done this before, who is, following his instructions until he panics and fucks up the way that Jason will, efficiently knock out guys when he needs to, one or two, and then he has the big fight with like 4 of them right in front of Simon the reporter. It's all really good, and again, the fact that it ends with him dying, which also it's a kind of a fun thing in this movie and in the series in general, is that as great as Jason is, he's not superhuman and he's not perfect and not infallible. And in this movie, it's funny because Simon gets killed. So then they're like, well, let's go after the person who was Simon's contact, which was Daniels, who was just Albert Finney's like right hand man. He gets killed too. Like they never talk to him because he gets killed in Morocco by the other guy, Dash.
Right. Right.
So it's a funny thing where it's like Jason can't ever have the long conversation with these people that he's trying to have. So he finally goes to Landy. But
Yeah.
like before that, he's trying to get to these other people, and it just is failing along the way.
And they even call out like things he's done before, and it's a movie with a good memory of itself, like we like with like the Fast and Furious movies and the things where like these things happen and they're not ignoring them. So like when Landy is like, maybe he's trying to contact us again, like he did in Naples, right? Like calling back the supremacy moment when he used his real passport to like send out a signal, right?
Right.
So I like that element where the movie has a memory. So going back to Blackbriar, always remembering to include Julia Stiles, and I'm assuming she comes back, Eric, in one of the next two movies. So
Hey, anything's possible.
anything is possible, even though nothing is real. I have to add that I have not seen the Edgar Ramirez movie Che, which came out a year after this, which was a Soderbergh movie. We talked about him recently, where he played. Did he play Che Guevara? Anyway, I feel like he may have. It's not clear. But then also Carlos, where he got nominated in 2010. I don't know what that movie is, but it got a lot of nominations for this guy. And
Yeah, no, he's definitely he's had some big moments along the way.
I'm not trying to shit on Edgar Ramirez. I'm just saying pick better projects.
Get off his back. I meant to mention on the last movie this, but it happened again, so I can mention again, which is Jason using a internet cafe, only to say,
right.
I'm sure some exist, but it is funny to think about that moment, because obviously smartphones killed them being a big thing, because once you had a computer that you're walking around with all the time, and once you could send emails anytime, you didn't have to stop. Internet cafes were a specific moment of like, we're becoming addicted to the internet. But since we didn't have it with us all the time, like I understand it was also to like send emails on trips. But
you know how all it doesn't work quite because they don't really exist anymore, those cafes. But you know how like spy movies and assassin movies will have you believe everyone's sitting on a park bench as an assassin. If there's more than one person on a park bench, they're talking about like some black ops operation that's their office is probably like 3 blocks away, but they meet in the park. Everyone in an internet cafe is a wounded assassin on the run, because they can't afford to be traced, so they have to go to the internet cafe.
This is making me laugh because we were talking about like the cliche from the last movie that they avoided using the line, but the line of like, you haven't told anyone else this, have you? Before someone's gonna get killed by someone they trusted.
Yeah.
But if that happened in our life, but it was like, hey, I heard from my friend Speedball's going to be in the next Marvel movie. And you're like, you haven't told anyone this, have you? No. And it's like, just anything. Like, hey, the McRib is coming back. You haven't told anyone yet.
It's like, blam.
Good sketch, actually.
I mean, Eric, you love the McRib. That's worth killing over, right?
Yes. This was a secret worth killing over. Also, obviously, the technology, again, any series that has a lot of technology will be dated quickly. And so it is funny that the end of this movie is all predicated on Pam sending a fax in time before they can stop her. I mean,
I feel like he may still have had time. Like, couldn't he even like just ripped out the Ethernet cable and stop the trend? Those things took forever to sort of like send.
I know, but
and she's like, "Oh shit, I sent it to fucking Chinese restaurant. Oh no,
well, this is a bullshit we got." But although this movie, because of the way it's set, I guess it came out in 2007, but it's actually set 2 or 3 years before, since it's running parallel to the Bourne supremacy. So it was an instant period piece.
It was weird at the end on the rooftop though, when Paz is the name of the actual assassin, and Bourne says to him, "Look what they took from us," and Paz is like, "The McRib." Anyway,
I don't know. I thought that was,
and he's like, "No, you idiot."
That was very powerful. This overall, I think, yes, it's funny, actually, it's maybe a reverse, because this car chase isn't quite as exciting as the one in the last one, but it actually begins stronger. I thought that, remember, because I think I said in the last movie,
man, it's in the Port Authority parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of it, is the first car he uses.
Yeah, the driving backwards and going over the cliff.
Yeah. Even first when he rams the other car to ram into them. and then yeah, driving off the side. That stuff. The car chase after is okay. It's fine.
Well, what's
But
funny is that it's actually more realistic. I cannot speak to the streets of Moscow, but I can say if you're telling me you're going to have a high speed chase in New York, I'm like that's going to go 2 blocks because at a certain point you're going to run into things you cannot get around or go through. Like
right,
you're just
right.
going to be eventually, you're just going to crash into a store because these are not clear streets for a car chase. So I think it actually played it pretty well. But I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
No, no, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Look, any movie that has a chase on the streets of New York or a chase on the LA freeway
a
is
foot chase, sure, but not
no,
like
but yeah,
not
a
not
car
yeah.
chase is instantly not going to be realistic based on just the
You're
fact
gonna
of
go.
life.
You're gonna get a block, maybe two, and then you're gonna run into the fucking Puerto Rican Day Parade. Like I don't know. Like something's gonna block your path.
Right, right.
A shawarma cart. I don't know. Um,
Two guys moving a giant plate of
He's like, oh
glass.
no, we're in the fruit district, and they just bash through a bunch of like fruit carts. What was that? That was an Ebert trope, right? If there's a car chase, a fruit cart always gets knocked over.
Yes, I believe that was yes, but obviously the pane of glass is a
Pain of
classic.
people just carrying glass. Yeah,
Just carrying glass. Man, that was really funny. And uh in the Naked Gun remake, when the pane of glass replaces his car windshield, it was a great twist on a trope. That's all you can ask for it. I really like. I mean, obviously Joan Allen is always great, but like, yeah, Landy in general, it's a really cool part of it. And by the way, it's funny because we talked about they reshot the ending of the second one, and so now they don't meet in person until he comes up to the building and she's waiting for him. And I think this is a way better way for them to have their first face to face, is like waiting
yeah.
for that moment, versus the first one where it was like, yeah, again, very quiet moment. But here, yeah, it's earned it, and she's done so much to help him, and they've had like it's a cool dynamic when you can do it. I mean, it makes it basically it's a different thing, but she's kind of becoming like an Al Pal type, right? It's like she's this person he
I
can
shot
reach
a
out,
kid. Yeah.
right? That this touchstone for him to reach out to when everyone else is against him.
I mean, if
And
she was an Al Pal type, before Vosen shoots him at the end when he falls off the building or jumps off and then gets shot, she would have shot him first, and there would have been a whole backstory of how she's never used a gun or hasn't drawn her weapon in 10 years or whatever. So,
right,
and she's
right.
like, and she takes him down. Actually, that would have actually been cool. And
Actually,
she
yeah,
could have still shot him. He could have got the shot off, but then she could have shot him dead. Someone needed to die, is what I'm saying.
yeah, it's funny because we talked about how the end of the second one, he leaves Carl Urban technically alive, but he looks so fucked up that we presume he's moments from dying. But this is more extreme ways because because Edgar Ramirez's character is not at death's door and gets to have that conversation with him.
Do you think that they sort of revisited that because it was unclear if he spared him?
Maybe. I think maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, because I was unclear in the Supremacy. So
yes.
yeah. So maybe they're like, let's do it again, but bigger and more obvious. But then Ramirez after that fucking crash was well enough to get up to that roof, so he's pretty good. Two things I want to talk about, and then I'll be done, and then you could say whatever you want. One is the poor guy who gets fucking drugged by the CIA and dragged off because Bourne framed him to be at the bus stop to be the contact the reporter was working with. By the way, that guy got killed. Like, there's no way they're like, whoopsie, our bad, and let him go.
If they were gonna kill Nikki,
like this guy got killed, and I feel bad. Second, one of my favorite stunts that I'm assuming they did practically, Bourne like hopped a motorcycle up a wall. Like,
that was rad. That
was crazy.
Yeah, that was great, and I do like because this series. It's again with the car chases. Obviously, he's doing crazy shit. In the first movie, he drove down the staircase, but because they don't shoot it like a Fast and Furious, like they're not shooting it like glamorous. So when that motorcycle jump happens, it doesn't get like the cool shot and the multiple angle or anything. But that's kind of the fun thing about it in a Bourne movie. It just happens really quickly, and you're like, oh shit, that guy just jumped that fucking motorcycle. And I think you're right. That they, some stunt guy probably did that.
Some stunt guy knew how to do it, and therefore Bourne knows how to do it, and therefore I learned that it could be done because I was like, "That's not physics." Anyway,
yeah.
Okay, I am done talking about Bourne Ultimatum. So whatever you would like to add before I sign off, but like, again, like there is a sameness to this movie, but it still feels really good and solid as a, the third movie in this trilogy, this initial trilogy before Matt Damon does not return for the next one. But yes.
Yes, before Universal's like, we want more, and at first he says I'm done, and so they decide to keep going with him. Yeah, look, it's yeah, I think it's really satisfying. These movies are a formula, and it's, including the guys at the computer screens. But all three of these movies kind of prove like, oh, you can do this formula really well, and they can still be very exciting, and have just enough lore and continuing characters and things to just like make it feel like a cool, tight story. That if there hadn't been any more, this would just be like, this is a really great trilogy, and I think it still is. No matter what happens with the other two movies, which we'll talk about, these three movies kind of just feel like a really nice, easy to watch series of its own. The only other thing I think I have left to say is I did feel, because you were talking about how maybe they redid like letting someone live to make it more clear that's what was happening this time, because one other place I felt like audience response might have factored in, and I don't mind, is people being upset that they killed Marie and it getting a little bit of discourse about the fridging of it all. They really bring her back. Like this movie, like make sure to talk about her being important again. So it's like, and so you feel her significance.
She's even a part of the article that the dude writes.
Yeah. So. And I felt that was conscious on their part of like, we don't want him to just be like moving on and the story moves on. We want to be like, this was significant. And while I think it might have partially been a response to that, I think I do also appreciate it, especially because this is so tightly, this story, the 2 and 3 are taking place so tightly together that would make sense that she would obviously be on his mind. It just happened for him.
Yeah, it wasn't like another 2-year break, right? Time jump or anything. So yeah.
Even 3 years for us.
Yes, Bourne Ultimatum. I'm excited for the next one because new lead, but I'm wondering who comes back. I don't know if they do.
Don't look at the Wikipedia.
I'm not gonna. I won't look at anything. I mean, like I'll look at the first line. It's just that one time the first line spoiled Final Destination for me.
You never know.
I didn't know, but Eric. You say you never know, but I didn't even know it was a thing to know until it happened to me.
That's saying. You never know. Anyway, I'm excited. I'm actually excited to revisit these other two because, again, I remember them way less and haven't watched them.
And did you though say, and I think I remember this, that Gilroy directed the next one?
Yeah, he wrote and directed the next one.
Oh boy! So he has no one to blame but himself.
He wrote it with Dan Gilroy, his brother, who I believe won an Emmy for Andor.
I'm just saying, like I with all the things he was saying that weren't his, and they changed this and they changed that. This is like buck stops with you now, Tony.
Yes, so. Yeah. Let's see how easy it is.
Let's see how easy it is to make a Bourne movie.
Yes.
He's like, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. Okay. All right. The Bourne Legacy is next. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And shock.